Well, hi, and welcome to Conversations with. As you can see, we've made a little change this week. I'm Bonnie, and I am sitting in the hot seat where Dick Vaughan is normally interviewing me from. But I asked him, as a special favor, would he be willing to let me interview him this week? So here we are, and I'm very excited because we are going to talk all things Christmas with Dick Vaughan. So welcome, Dick. How are you today?
I'm fabulous, and I'm so glad we're going to talk about Christmas because, you know, it's my favorite time of year. And I have to share with you, Bonnie, one of the great tragedies of our society, and it's been my wish for all my years, if we could find a way to get people from December 20th to the 25th to continue on the 26th. Because it's like thunder. From the 20th to the 25th, it's hugging and Merry Christmas and great to see you and laughs and smiles. And the 26th is boom, back to work. Let's go. Cut you off. Get the job. How do we do that?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Anyway.
But so what? So you say that Christmas is your favorite holiday.
Yep.
Do you know why that is?
Yes. I'll tell you why. Every year since I was a little tiny kid that I can remember, and I can remember when I was about 4 or 5, and every year the excitement and the anticipation of Santa Claus coming. And as I got older, I went through the stunning shock that Santa Claus was really your mother and father. But I never believed it. And every single year, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I've got all my Christmas shopping done. And Christmas is really for kids. And so I am so excited because we're all going to get together on the 23rd of December, my 5 kids and my 3 grandkids and their spouses and so forth. And every year when all the wrappings are all over the floor and everybody's giggling and laughing about their gifts and presents, and I love to give things, I lean back and I smile and I say, there really is a Santa Claus. And there really is. Mm-hmm. When you think about it.
It's true.
And he comes every year.
It's
and
true.
He brings joy, and he brings fun, and he brings families, and a nice turkey sometimes, and whatever. And there really is a Santa Claus.
It's true.
And as I got older, I realized that. And so I was able to push away that stunning shock when some kid in school told me that there really isn't a Santa Claus. And I'm going to share a story with you.
Okay, let's hear
When
this.
I was in Ware, I used to have a beautiful, beautiful Santa Claus outfit. It was red velvet and so forth, so forth. Now, I'm a skinny guy. And so I have to tell this story to you. And I used to dress up on the 24th. We lived on a cul-de-sac. Mm-hmm. And it was called the Gold Coast. It was the elite of Ware lived.
Okay.
Supposedly. But it was always called the Gold Coast. We had these beautiful all houses where they weren't one big thing. We all built our own house. We had a big cape that my father designed for me.
Wow.
And they were all custom built homes. I had the French undertaker on one side of me, the Polish undertaker, vice president from the bank. Joe Chica had a plumbing business, et cetera, et cetera. And every year I used to dress up on the 24th. And I would tell because we were all buddies, all the adults.
Right.
And I would go from house to house. And I would be all dressed up. And I have to put a big pillow in me.
Yeah.
And I would bang on the window. And the kids would, because they knew Santa was coming, see.
Right.
And I would go from house to house. Well, one year, I was chairman of the school building committee. And we built a new school, and it opened in September in Ware. This was back in the 70s. And I'm a mummer. And one year we were the Bengal Lancers, and we had white riding pants, and the boots were all custom made, and they were British riding boots, and they had a spur on them because we were the British Bengal Lancers from Peter O'Toole, remember, out of Africa or whatever it was.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm at the school, and the teachers called up and said, Dick, you're so good. One of my neighbors was a school teacher, and Diane Murray was her name. And she said, Dick, would you come to the school? They used to have a half a day before Christmas.
Oh, right.
And in the last hour, would you see the kids? Go to classroom to classroom. Well, at the last minute, they decided rather than me go classroom to classroom, I'd go in the auditorium and bring all the kids down there. And they had goodies for the kids, and it was a cafeteria type thing.
And you had your Santa suit on.
So I was all dressed up, and I had my real black boots. Mm-hmm. And just to see the look on the kids' face. And two delightful kids, they probably were in the first or second grade. Mm-hmm. And they're in front of me, and I'm sitting there, and I'm waving to the kids and saying hi. And the two kids, and of course I could hear them. One kid says, that's the real Santa Claus. And the other kid says, how do you know? He hasn't got those fake boots. He's got real boots. Look at them. They're real boots. So I leaned over and I said, you want to touch those? And I put it out. And the two kids touched the real boots. See, they're real. They're not those fake ones that the other Santa Claus has. So that was a delightful story.
Oh, that's so fun. That's a great Christmas memory.
But Bonnie, I've got to tell you, it was one of the great joys I had to see the look on little kids' faces when you look through Santa's eyes.
Right. Oh, I know.
Unbelievable.
They do. They get so excited. The magic of it all.
Santa Claus, there really is a Santa Claus.
So going back to when you were little and you were like eagerly waiting for Santa when you were little, do you remember what your very first or oldest Christmas memory like would be?
Yep.
It doesn't have to be good or bad.
I
but
was
like
5 years old.
Okay.
So that would have been 1940.
Wow.
And my father had a company in Boston, and it was the Mass Gas Electric Light Company. And they sold all kinds of things. For instance, my father had the franchise for percolator. My mother had the very first coffee percolator.
Wow.
When they first came out. My mother had a steam iron when nobody else had one.
Wow, exciting.
Well, my father also, his store had the Lionel train contract. And back in those days, every year Lionel, if you had their line, they would have a big display that was all made up.
Oh, okay.
And you'd go in the store, and the trains would be running, and they had little villages, and it was on a piece of 4x8 plywood. Uh-huh. But it was like a little town.
Yeah.
And the train would run, and that's how they would sell the trains.
Yeah.
Well, I was 5 years old, and I went to bed, and it was about 12:30, and I woke up to this laughter and ho, 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 and fun and partying, and what's this? And I got out of bed, and I walked out, and it had to be 12:30, 1 o'clock. And my dad and 3 guys from the store took the display from the store and brought it to me.
Oh.
And they were setting it all up. And when I got there, they were playing with the train. So I walked, because my little eyes, I could hardly see. I'm just woken up.
Yep.
And I walked into the room, and I stood there, and my mother was very quick. Dickie, you're not going to believe you just missed Santa Claus. And look what he brought you.
Oh, my goodness.
And there was the train set.
Mom covered real well.
Bailed up. But that was my first memory. And then every year, for the next 2 years, I got the display would come every year.
Wow.
My dad would bring it home. And in 1941, he left.
Oh.
My father went to the war. He was in the Navy, commander in the Navy, went back in the war. He was in the First World War. And he went back in the Second World War, volunteered, and he was in the Navy and was in Newfoundland. And he sat in a turret. My father went to MIT, and he was an electrical engineer. And he went back in, and he used to sit in a turret. And in those days, Hitler was sending over the U-boats. They were trying to blow up Portland Naval Air Base. They wanted to get to Portsmouth Naval Base, where they made the subs, and they wanted to get to the Boston Naval Shipyard, where all the ships were. And he'd send these subs, and my father, on his little radar screen, would watch them coming.
Wow.
And we had 2 destroyers out in the water.
Wow.
And he would Morse code the ships, and they'd sail over and get right up over the sub, and then he'd tell them, drop it. And you could see the little depth charge going down, and poof.
Wow.
They picked off 23 German subs.
Wow.
And my father said the thing that made him crazy was he couldn't believe Hitler kept sending them. Nobody ever came home, but he kept sending them.
Right.
And it never dawned on him that we were picking them off.
Right.
But anyway, that was, so my father was
Wow,
gone.
what a hero
He was gone for 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
And he used to call every Sunday night.
Oh.
But it was garbled, because so nobody could understand it.
Right.
And he'd talk and it'd be blah, 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 blah,
Oh,
and
my
then there'd be a
goodness.
pause, and then I could hear his, then he'd, when it got to the States,
Yeah.
then it would come back to real, and it would be his voice. And then
Wow.
I'd have to answer him, and I'd be garbled.
Yeah.
So there was this pause. So the conversation would only be like 5 or 6. Talk to my mom.
Wow.
You know, but then he came back in 1946, and he sold the business when he went to the war, and so he came back and was doing something different then. But
Wow.
but those were my Christmas songs.
Oh my goodness.
And then
So-
even since now, I have to tell you, when each one of my boys was born, you're not going to believe what they got for their first Christmas.
I have a feeling I might know, but tell us.
They got their own train set.
Yeah.
And now I have 2 grandsons, and Jackie got his, and Brady got it. In fact, I have Brady's at my house. He brought it last winter to put under our tree.
Yeah.
So I have Brady's at my house, but the both kids got their trains.
Yes, we did that with my boys too. We've had many train sets under the Christmas tree
Yeah.
with 4 boys. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, and all different types ones. Electric,
I'm
not
not
electric.
trying to take your job away, but how are your boys? Do they really get a kick out of Christmas?
Yes, they love it. Even my middle one. So when you spoke about your awareness that there really, even though some kids will say there isn't a Santa,
Yeah.
you discovered that there really is a Santa. Not necessarily what you thought it was, but there really is a
Yeah.
Santa. So when my older 2 boys were old enough to learn, like,
Yeah,
and I could tell they were doubting and questioning.
Yeah,
And
like you go
I
through
had-
you go through a year where you're scared to death not to believe because you might get a bag of coal.
Right, right. So I had a friend actually prior to this happening who ironically is pagan. She's not even Christian. But she had told me that when her daughter was young and they celebrated Christmas and her daughter came to age, this was what she told her. And I said, that's the most wonderful thing I've ever heard. So I did it with my boys, which is I told them, you know, once you know, you become Santa. You are Santa. So you come and you become the one to help, and you can't tell anyone
Yeah.
because the joy becomes in, you know, helping pick out presents and getting things for other people and seeing the surprise and the joy. So my little ones aren't quite there yet, but they're questioning, you know what I mean? So we're gonna, it's gonna be soon with them, but the middle one, even though he knows, right?
Yeah.
He's been listening to Christmas music since October.
Good for
in
him.
on his phone. You know,
Yeah.
he has the earbuds in his, and he doesn't want to do anything with the family. He wants to play video games all the
Yeah.
time. But when we're like, family day, go get the Christmas tree, he's like, that's it, I'm coming. Like,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
so excited. He's like, can't wait for Christmas.
I have to tell you a story. my younger, you just what you just said made me think of it.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter, Kerry, she came home. She was about 7 or 8, and we were sitting at the table before Christmas. And there's a gap between Michael and Kerry, my youngest boy, and Kerry, who's the youngest kid. And she says, "You know what I heard in school today?" You know, I said, "No, what'd you hear?" "There's not really a Santa Claus. It's you." "Really? Kerry, you better be real careful." I gave her the peel.
Yeah.
So my son Dennis I called Dennis, who's now probably in his 20s. I said, "I need a favor." "What?" I said, "I want you to come to the house because Jackie, my wife, is taking Kerry out." I said, "So I want you to come to the house. I need a big favor." We had a big fireplace in the living room. So I purposely didn't, I used to light a fire every night. Purposely didn't have a fire. And I made Dennis put on the outfit. And I made him stand with his head in the fireplace. So all you could see was his back end and from the back.
Yeah.
And I took a picture. Remember Polaroid cameras?
Yeah.
I took a picture
Oh,
of Dennis coming out of the chimney.
right.
And so Christmas morning, of course, Kerry left, well, this is terrible. Kerry left a Coors Light because that's what I used to drink. So,
I told
no
the twins
milk.
that today.
Leave a Coors
Santa
Light.
might like beer better than milk anyway.
Leave a Coors Light and some cookies, you know. But anyway, so Kerry did. Well, the next morning when she got up, there was always a note. Thank you, Kerry, for whatever whatever, for the Coors Light. It was delightful. And the picture was there. And Santa said, I hope you believe now.
Oh my gosh.
She got the picture. Took it to school. Told all the kids that you better believe, look, there's a real Santa Claus because my father got a picture of him just before he went back up the chimney. So that's what I did to Kerry. And they still, by the way, every Christmas, of course I get beat up now.
Yeah.
Every Christmas they all tell their favorite dad story.
Oh my gosh.
And every Christmas Kerry tells that story about, and she said, and it took me 4 years to figure out it was Dennis, my brother. You know? But that's another great Christmas story.
Oh my goodness. So do you have a favorite Christmas memory? Or is that, it seems like you have a lot of favorites.
Well, there's a lot of them. One year, my wife wanted a fur jacket. And my daughter, Kathy, who's my third child, Kathy was probably 13 or 14. Oh, Mom's going to get a fur jacket. I want a fur jacket. Okay, so what we did was I got my wife the jacket, and we found a nice little jacket. I think it was a fox. I don't even know what it was. And I had it embroidered, you know, with her name, Kathy Vaughan. Well, during Christmas, we decided to have some fun. So we decided that what we would do, because I used to like fun at Christmas. For instance, I used to wrap all the gifts in newspapers. And I got to tell you the story about how the kids could open only one present. That's another hoot. That's a hoot. But anyway, getting back to Kathy. So my wife gets her fur coat and she puts it on, and all the gifts get opened. And we decided to put the jacket away. And so Kathy had told every one of her girlfriends that she was going to get a fur coat. So they were all at the house Christmas morning. And we didn't do it Christmas Eve. We did it, everybody opened their presents, and no fur coat for Kathy. And she's now, tears.
Right.
Debbie's there, and Gail's there, and all her girlfriends. And I finally said to my wife, you got to go get the thing. If I'm going to get shot, you know. So she went out and was in a bag, and we brought it out. And she finally got her fur coat. But boy, did we go, you know, I thought it would be much more fun than it ended up being. I mean, I had a little 13-year-old girl almost in hysterics, you know, because she didn't get her fur coat. But the other thing I used to do with the kids was, as they got older, and I have to tell you, in those days we used to broadcast the midnight mass from Our Lady of Mount. I used to own WARE in Ware. We lived in Ware. And we used to broadcast the midnight mass. So we'd go up in the afternoon and set the church up, put all the mics and everything, and we have the mic up in the choir and everything. And then at 1:30, when the mass was over, we tore it all down and we drove across town to St. Mary's, because we did the 9 o'clock children's mass live from St. Mary's in the morning on Christmas Day. So by the time I'd get home, it'd be 2:30 at night. And I'd be exhausted, you know. And then we'd put all the stuff out for the kids. And before I'd leave, we have the presents out, and they could each open one present. Well, they could pick one, and they'd have a bunch there. And I'd say, you sure you want to open that one? Are you sure that's the one you want to open? You better be careful. And then what I would do is I would get a big box, and in the big box, I would put the lousiest present they were getting. And you know how kids are.
Oh,
Which
yeah,
one
they
do
go
you
right
think?
for the biggest
Which one
box.
do you think they would
Right.
open? And I tell them not to do it. Don't pick that one. You're going to be disappointed. Oh, and they'd open it anyway, and they'd get whatever it was, some little, and they'd be crushed. Can I open another one? Nope. You opened your one present.
Did they ever figure out that it was always the worst thing in the big box?
Yeah, but it didn't matter.
It was too late.
They do it because they couldn't resist the big box. Because you know, my mother used to say, "Your eyes are bigger than your belly."
Yeah.
You know, and that what happened to them. See.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I used to get great joy in wrapping the things in newspapers with a little bow on it.
Okay.
Because it was cheap. It was free.
Right.
And they only tear the stuff off, you know.
Yep.
And but that's,
Oh my gosh, my grandparents to save money because my grandfather, my grandparents, lived through the Depression and
oh, yeah.
they were very thrifty.
Yep.
My grandfather saved everything.
Yeah.
There was no wasting
No, no.
anything. So they would, at the end of Christmas, they'd take the papers, like the paper that you wrapped
Yeah.
and they would fold it up and put it in a pile and put it to the side and they would save it and reuse it the next
And you
year.
think that, and you really think they're the only ones who did that, right?
No,
That's what you did in those days. My mother did the same thing.
Really?
She'd tell you, be very careful how you open that.
Exactly.
Don't rip it.
Don't rip it.
Don't rip it.
Don't rip it,
Just
yeah.
undo it. And my mother would save it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was they would have this little
We had a big
stack of-
box of all the Christmas thing. It would say tree lights and ornaments, and then it would say wrapping paper.
And it was like nowadays the gift bags are easy to reuse because you can
Yeah.
fold it up and
Oh,
reuse.
yeah.
But the paper, I feel like most people, throw it away, recycle it. But oh no, it was always.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was. But that was what you did back then.
I know. It's nice that people valued the just valued the effort and time and money
Oh,
that
it was-
these things,
It was.
instead of just throwing it all away and
But
wasting
no, it's my favorite, and of course you have to understand I'm a nut. I mean I'm nuts, and I enjoy so much having fun with the kids. I have to tell you a little story. Every year, goes back to 2000, whatever it was. I walked into a Godiva store, and they have these little Christmas teddy bears, and they have on their little paw on the foot. It says Godiva with the year. So I gave the girls, and when they got married, their wives, they would all get a Godiva teddy bear. And it's a little bear, and he has a little packet of Godiva chocolates. And, I mean, Jen has her collection. It's on the couch at the house. She, from the first Christmas I met her, and every year she gets hers, and all the girls, and my daughter-in-law, Bridget, where we're going to have Christmas this year at Bridget and Dennis. Dennis is my oldest son. And Bridget has all hers, and she puts them out every year around the tree. And so one year we went to New Hampshire where my son Jack lives. We're going to have Christmas up there. So we drove up, and I brought out, and they oh, here come the bears. And the girls kind of made fun of the teddy bears. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like that. That bothered me because I thought that was very special. And so I decided the next year I'm going to have some fun with them. So I got the bears, and I had them with me, and I put them in the trunk of the car. And I brought all the gifts in, and we all sat down, and everybody's opening their presents. And I always give the kids a check. And they're all kind of looking at me, and my daughters-in-law and my own girls. And they're saying, that's all? So my daughter Kathy says, isn't something missing, Dad? What are you talking about? Well, where's our teddy bears? Oh, last year you made fun of me. Last year you made fun of them and made fun of me. Oh, here come the bears again. Here he comes with his bears. I says, so I kind of thought you didn't want them. You didn't get us bears this year. What are we going to do now? We've already got them. So I finally went out in the car, opened the trunk, and brought them in. And they have never again
made fun
of my teddy bears.
That's awesome.
This Christmas is a good time to teach lessons too.
You certainly have woven that into every single thing every story I've heard so far. I don't think I've ever played that many tricks on my family.
Well, but it's fun. I enjoy it. It's. I have to tell you, I'll share this with you. Every year, I give the kids the year, and that's their final gift, is their check. So it's $120, and last year it was 17 cents, 12017.
Right.
So this year they're getting 12018, and next year, well, last year they got that. Oh, Dad, my son Dennis, he's the fun one. Dennis opens his and says, now you know kids. Now, these are older kids. They're all in their 40s and 50s.
Right.
Dennis says, "Oh, Dad, $1,000. Thanks so much." And of course, now the other kids are looking at their checks. You got $1,000? Let me see the check.
My son just did that the other day on his birthday. They got like birthday money
Yeah.
from someone, and they were all. It came at the same time, so they were all looking at it. And my son goes, $150, and the other ones all got 25. They're all looking at him like, what?
Yeah. You know what else? We have stockings for the kids, and especially the grandkids. Jen works very hard. She has a great stocking, and so we put in. I always put in a scratchy, you know. And the deal is, if anything under $100 is theirs. If it's over 100, they get 80. I get 20. Just in case someone gets $1 million scratchy, you know.
You're not going to let them have it all.
No, they can't have it all.
Santa's not that nice.
No, he's not that good. But anyway, the thing is that I mean, it's just, you know, it's so much fun. But anyway, one of the kids last year said, "You know, Dad, I'm getting a little concerned because I was always hoping that, you know, pretty soon you know, it would be the 21st century and it would be 2,100 and we could really get some heavy money out of you." And he says, "You know, but you get," and they were teasing me that, you know, all they get is a penny more every year.
Right.
I said, "That's just the cost of living." So you know, it's just fun for me.
Right.
I enjoy it, and I have fun with the kids, and like I said, there really is a Santa Claus.
There is. I want to ask you another question too, because I've been asking when I go into the nursing homes, when
Yeah.
I'm playing music and I've been asking people about their favorite Christmas memories. And I've noticed that for some people, it revolves around food. So I thought that everyone was going to be telling me about presents, like the story that you told involved the presents
Yeah.
of the fur coat you got for a daughter. I thought that was going to be the norm. But a lot of people, it's the food. So I want to know, is there a favorite food that your family made or that you make now or someone in your family now makes that you look forward to on Christmas?
Well, yeah, the answer is yes. I love turkey, okay? So we always have a turkey, all right, number one. But when I was a little kid, my Nana McGee, who had a brogue, Nana used to make apple pies. And she'd bake them herself, and they were unbelievable. And of course, Nana's long gone. And then my mother made them for until she died. And so I don't make apple pies, but but at Big Y in Southbridge, there's a company called Lyman's.
Yep.
And Lyman makes apple pies that are as close to my Nana as you can get.
They're in Connecticut.
Yes,
Lyman's
they are.
Orchard. Yeah,
That's
I've been
right.
there. Yep.
And Lyman Orchards, and
Yep.
they make these phenomenal
Oh,
apple
that's good
pies.
to know.
So, for instance, at Thanksgiving, we went to Jen's sister's house, and our job was to bring the apple pies because they can't wait for them; they go crazy.
Oh, wow.
And so and this year, Bridget, and it's going to be at Bridget and Dennis's house in Framingham. And because it used to be at our house, but it's really small,
Right.
and all the kids are in there, and then it's out of the way. They got to drive to Charlton,
Yeah.
and because they're all over Kathy's in Newport, Rhode Island, Kerry's in Situate, Mass. You know, the boys are up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to get to Framingham
Framingham's a good central spot.
than it is to get here. So we're going to have it there this year, and they have a big house in Framingham. Anyway, so Jen and Bridget have already been working out the menu, and what we usually do now, because the kids are older, they get a turkey breast and a ham from Honey Baked Ham in Framingham, and they slice them up, and we have little finger rolls. And you make your, and if you're hungry, go make a sandwich.
Oh, that's
And we
nice.
have gravy and stuffing, so you can make a little sandwich for yourself.
wow.
So it takes this. We don't have to sit down. We just do that. But Bridget said, "Oh, and by the way, remind Dick to bring the apple pie." So they wait for. She heats them up, and then they put ice cream on them.
Oh, yum.
You know, and that's the dessert. So
Well,
yeah,
thank
apple
you
pie.
so much for allowing me to sit in this special privileged seat
Can I tell you a secret? It was wonderful, and we got to do it again because I
hope
brought so many things.
Oh yeah, I have a lot more questions for you, but I wanted to keep it just to the Christmas theme.
Good.
So
I'm so glad you did because, and you know something? I was at the town hall this morning, and the girls in the tax collector's office were putting up a little banner and a sign, and I was so delighted because it said "Merry Christmas."
yes, It is.
And I get so frustrated when people say happy holidays, you know, because it is a Merry Christmas.
It is. I'm happy if somebody just says something nice to me, whether it's
Yeah.
Merry Christmas or
Whatever.
Happy Hanukkah or
But what we
whatever.
got to work on, we have to work on taking the 5 days from the 20th of December to the 25th and getting people in America to carry them on.
That's right. That's right. That's why I named my studio Joy Asana, because it's joy all year round.
You got that right. By the way, how's the studio?
It's going great.
Good.
So anyways, we'll see you here next week or next time
Month.
for another Conversations with